Audible.
Suryadeep, you are there? Yes, brother. Yes, Saira. Yeah, sorry.
Suman, you are not audible.
Okay, sir. Yeah, now I am audible, I think.
Yes, you are audible just now. Yeah.
We'll start with 3 ohms and 1 Sai Gayatri. Om. Om. Om Saishwaraya Vidmahe Satya Devaya Dhimahi Tanna Sarva Prachodayat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Offering my humble salutations at the divine lotus feet of our beloved Lord, and loving Sairams to all brothers and sisters. Today is the 3rd session of our Satsang. This particular chapter is called Swādhyāya. Swādhyāya has 2 meanings. One is self-study, other is study of the self. So this self-study of Vahinis should lead us to study of the self, finally merging in our higher self. That's the journey. So Swādhyāya to Swādhyāya, and ultimately merging in the self. And it's going to be definitely a wonderful journey. If you see the statement, of the Satsang, Swami's statement itself, my life is my message. If you see, one way, my life is my message. A little focus on the life part, more emphasis on the life. My life is my message. So when we focus more aspects of Swami's life, right from childhood, later to his avataric mission, everything, even a joke he cracks has a lot of, message in it. Nothing is something of waste. Everything, each and every aspect, his smile, his gesture, everything has a deep, deep, profound messages. That is one aspect, my life. So we need to focus. When we focus on his life, focus of all the events of his life, right from his childhood, a lot of messages are going to unleash. Second important thing is, if you focus on the second message, my life is my message. My life is my message, which tells that Swami's life is in his message. They say, words of God are no different from God. So if we focus on the message of Swami, we are going to feel him. My life is my message. When we focus on message of Swami, when we try to implement the message of Swami in our lives, that's when actually we start feeling him within. That's when we are going to visualize him, that we are going to have his darshan again. That is the way, physical form is not there anymore, but still we can have his darshan. The focus should be on the message. So today's satsang is more centered on the significance of the Vahinis, an introduction to Bhagavatha Vahini. What are these Vahinis? So before going to that, most of us know what are Vahinis, but some people may not know, new people. So before that, I'd like to recite a poem of Swami, a padyam which was part of the opening padyam of his Shivaratri discourse in 1970. Naham manushyo na cha deva yaksho na brahmana kshatriya vaishya shudro na brahmachari na gruhavanasto aham satya bodhaka satyam shivam sundaram. Where Bhagavan says, I'm not a man, Naham Manushya, I'm not a man. I'm not a Deva. I'm not an angel. I'm not a Yaksha. I'm not a demigod also. I'm not a Brahmin. I'm not a Kshatriya. I'm not a Vaishya or Sudra. I'm not a Brahmachari nor householder. I am Aham Satya Bodhaka. So I am the teacher of truth. I'm the Guru who is teaching the truth. Satyam Shivam Sundaram. I am the truth. I am the auspiciousness and I am the beauty. We are so fortunate that the truth himself has incarnated in a human form to teach the truth, to lead us to the truth. So Aham Satya Bodhaka. Vedas are called apaurusheyas, not of human. Apaurusheyam is not made, not of human work. It's not of human work, Vedas. It was heard, Vedas are the sounds that were heard in the deepest silence to the sages. They were, who had done a lot of tapas for many years and years. At one point of time, in the deepest stage of samadhi, in the deepest silence, they could hear this breath of God, which is called Vedas, the sounds. Vedas are sounds, that's why it's called Shruti. They don't have script. So Sanskrit is the nearest language to Veda. That's why actually we have all the Vedic hymns and everything in Sanskrit, because it's the nearest language. Otherwise, Veda doesn't have a script. Veda is a sound. It's a sound of God. It's a breath of God. So that supreme Godhead has come down to human form and compassionately written articles for 26 long years, enlightening us with this great spiritual wisdom. What a compassion is. The Purusha who was heard, who made these sages struggle, who made these sages do a lot of penance, and somewhere in the deepest silence, they could hear his breath. So that Parama Purusha, that highest supreme God has come down for us to deliver the essence of all the Vedas in a simple language, simplest language possible to us in the form of Vahinis. What a great compassion. I think Vahinis are nothing but gifts which Swami has given to us. And the gift is, he himself is the gift. He presented himself in the form of Vahinis to us. And what a great compassion it is. So first we need to be grateful to Swami for having come down to our level to teach us the great spiritual wisdom. So those who don't know these Vahinis are the series of articles that started from the first edition of Sanatana Sarathi. Sanatana Sarathi, as you all know, it's a monthly magazine of our Sathya Sai Seva organization. The first edition was on 16th February 1958. That was the Shivaratri of that year. So on that day, the first edition, it was launched. Sanatana Sarathi was launched. And the Prema Vahini was the first Vahini that has come. The beauty of Prema Vahini, or a specific, a distinguished feature of Prema Vahini is like till 18th chapter, the word Prema will not appear. No one encounters the word Prema till 18th chapter, but still it's Prema Vahini. So that means everything that comes out of Swami is love, love, love. So Vahini is flow, Vahini is love, flow of his love. So then came Sandeha Nivarini and Dhyana Vahini. So parallelly Swami wrote these three, Prema Vahini, Sandeha Nivarini and Dhyana Vahini, all the three in parallel. So February 1958 it started. And this flow continued for 26 long years till October 1984. After Dhyana Vahini came Prashanti Vahini, Jnana Vahini, followed by Dharma Vahini. And then the great Upanishad Vahini came, where Bhagwan was elucidating all the Upanishads, the stories from Upanishads. Next, the Gita Vahini, which was the essence of Bhagavad Gita. Next, Prashnottara Vahini. followed by Bhagavath Vahini. And Bhagavath Vahini continued for 5 years, January 1965 to 1970, January 1970, Bhagavath Vahini. And then followed the great nectarine, sweetest Ramakatha Rasa Vahini. It was the longest Vahini that has come till now, no? Of all the Vahinis, it's 7 years. Of course, the story of Rama, the avatar which humanity can never, ever, ever forget. No? Humanity is always indebted to that avatar. Because the time when Rama came, human being has no value at all. There was no human being. I mean, his existence was not at all considered. That's why the demon Ravana forgets two, man and monkey. He never knows, they don't exist only. I mean, what they can do, I mean, they're not going to harm me at all. So that's the level of respect which human being has got. So that supreme Godhead again came down for the ascent of man. He raised the level of human being. What a human being can achieve, he has shown practically. That's why that avatar is the greatest avatar, or you can say humanity has to be indebted to that avatar forever and ever and ever. Next came Bharatiya Paramartha Vahini and Sathya Sai Vahini. And Swami later clubbed this Bharatiya Paramartha Vahini into Sathya Sai Vahini. And then came Vidya Vahini, focus on the education. Next Sutra Vahini on Brahma Sutras. And finally, the last Vahini, which ended on October 1984. In October 1984, it was Leela Kaivalya Vahini. So these are 15 Vahinis which came. Actually, these were the articles, and it was collated and made into a form of books by the chosen instrument, Professor Kasturi, about whom we will discuss in little detail. So this is the flow of love. And what these Vahinis are going to give. Swami himself actually wrote a song which he made Kasturi sir hear the song. Like, Andamu totidi anandamu, anandamu totidi ee andamu. He says, bliss is something which is related to beauty. And beauty is bliss. What is this beauty? They say, thing of beauty is joy forever. It is the inner beauty. The inner beauty is going to grant us a bliss. And that bliss is always associated with the inner beauty. And these Vahinis are, you can say, 15 different pills or 15 different dishes, whatever who can say, which are going to open or which are going to create inner beauty, which are going to cleanse our minds and make, they're going to remind us we are always beautiful, but we forgot our beauty because we are clouded with a lot of dirt and dust. So these are the 15 powerful pills that we need to take so that again we are going to get back our inner beauty and get back to a natural state, which is the bliss. So these are gates to Anandam. Swami himself says, Vahini, he is so dear. I mean, Vahinis are so dear to him. He was telling, so these are the gates to that Ananda. So don't ever neglect. Try to achieve the goal of Ananda. It's a balm. Say this Vahini is not a book. Vahini is a balm that can apply to comfort you from all the maladies, the spiritual maladies. Not only spiritual maladies, of course, it's a base. All other maladies also get rectified in the process. Normally, people may have doubt. So we read Sathya Sai Speaks. So why should we read Vahinis? Why should we give special focus to Vahinis? If we see the basic difference, Vahinis are the written, Swami has written out of love. But Sathya Sai speaks is a spoken. Both are Swami's. This thing, one is a spoken literature, one is a written one. But there's a main difference is, if we see Vahinis, there is a topic driven. Upanishad Vahini, Vidya Vahini, Bhagavata Vahini. So there is a topic which is having great, profound spiritual messages in it. And if we see the discourses, always discourses was like, always they say wonderful dishes. It used to start with a crispy starter poems. Poems are like crispy starters, like wonderful, delicious starters. And Bhagwan would scan the minds of all the listeners, all the audience in the hall, wherever he used to deliver, and he used to answer. Most of us even have our experiences. What Swami is telling, what I just now thought. I had my doubt, how I cleared my doubt, which I was having for a long time. Because that's what Swami used to do. He used to scan all the minds. That's why in the discourse, if you see, it starts with a crispy starter called poem. And if you see the content of the discourse, it would be quite widespread. The spread is quite wide, many dishes, because he's going to cater to each and every person in the hall. So a lot of dishes will be there in the spread, obviously, because he has to satisfy the taste, the palate of everyone, every person. So that quite a widespread, such a wonderful widespread. After that, wonderful dessert would come as bhajan. So that's how he used to serve as a beautiful dish, beautiful meal, for in the form of his discourses. So discourses were more of a context driven, you see. So there was a context in the festival, or if there was a some Sevadal conference, or it was some state president's conference or office bearers conference, like that, there was some context to the discourses. But whereas the Vahinis have come out of his highest spiritual wisdom, has come out of his heart directly. So they have definitely a different place or a special place in Swami's heart. And we should also consider them to be much more valuable than any of other literature, because they have come directly from his heart. Now I would like to ask Brother Suradeep. Brother Suradeep, I think you have read a couple of Vahinis. So I want you to elucidate basically what youth can benefit out of these Vahinis. Most of us have this, a kind of notion that, these are going to be quite heavy for me, quite high. So I'm not going to go for this. I'm happy with Seva. I'm happy with Bhajan. I'm not going to touch all these Vahini and all these things. It's not my cup of coffee. So most of the youth think like that. They don't even come near place. The study circle, the very word itself makes them feel so low. Oh my God, this is something not my cup of coffee. No, I'm not going to go near that. So for those youth, or for all of us, what you're going to tell? Why Vahinis are so important to us? Are they so esoteric that we cannot bring down to the level, or we cannot understand? And how, please suggest us how to go about the reading. So what was your experience basically, in the reading of Vahinis, being especially a non-devotee before? I mean, now you're a devotee, but you haven't seen Swami physically, and you have directly started reading Vahinis, and you have enjoyed the bliss from that. So I want you to little more throw some light and clarify all the doubts our brothers have, and you should inspire all of us to take up these Vahinis. So over to Brother Suradeep.
Suman, I
Yes,
just have to
Om
add
Shri
something
Sai.
to. Sorry. Surya, go ahead. I'll
Yes, sir,
possibly
yes, sir,
talk
please.
after you finish. So maybe
No,
I
sir,
can talk
please.
after you finish. Okay, I just have 30 seconds. I strongly recommend that everybody sees the small 5-minute video on Lord Rama by Sadhguru Jaggi Vasudev. I don't know how many of you have seen that. It's a beautiful video. And he says what Rama's life as a human being that he came and fully knowing he was divine, but never had the necessity or the possibility to reveal his magnificent divinity. Sadhguru calls his life an entire life a disaster. So in disaster in the positive sense of a human being, that we think He just came and went like an avatar. But what he suffered and what he went through, every step of his life was a disaster, is what they talk about. And that even further glorifies Lord Rama's stature. That's all I had to say. I'll try to fish out this video and send it over.
Sure,
Someone
sir.
can
Sure.
distribute it
Thank
to the rest.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the Surya can continue.
Yes, brother. Sai Ram, everybody. First of all, thank you so much for this opportunity to Swami. Uh, for me personally, Vahinis has literally been the go-to toolbox. It's more like I feel Swami is right there with me every single time I'm reading this. There was a situation when in my college I was not really having any kind of a direction, whether it is related to my academics or I didn't have a single friend to talk to. I didn't know what to do. Every single day was more like a curse. And the only thing I could possibly do is just walk up to Swami and just cry, cry, and cry. I was coming for Narayan Seva, yes. And every single day of Narayan Seva, I would come back to the hostel and I would just cry and ask for solutions. And then and all of a sudden, one day, Suman brother, out of the blue, he just told me, why don't you start reading Vahinis? So the first Vahini was Bhagavatha Vahini, apparently, which I started reading. And it was not just merely reading. I felt when I was going through those beautiful renditions by Swami, I I literally felt like that little kid, when we were all so small that our parents would hold us in their laps and would sing loris to us and all. I literally felt like Swami was there in my lap uh, and reading out, looking at my eye and reading out and personally sharing those beautiful stories with me. And what was even more amazing is that those few moments in a day, I tried to read 30 to 45 minutes a day. And in those 30 to 45 minutes, it's more like every single thing that I would read, I would literally got to experience the same lessons the very next day, which was absolutely breathtaking for me. I had never experienced something like this before. So in the Bhagavad Vahini, when when the Pandavas are talking about their love for Krishna, the very next day, probably I was guided, or Swami made sure that something happened where I I was given a choice and opportunity to express my unconditional love to, let's just say, a very, very simple, one of the sweeper aunties in our hostel. So apparently, who will just come to clean our rooms, and I don't know what made me do it, but I would make them sit and I cooked some Maggie or some oats for them and I served them through plates. I had no clue why I did that, but somehow it was more like being merely an instrument of Swami and not just reading the whole thing, but he's also making sure that I'm applying the same thing the very next day. And this initially I thought maybe, okay, chalo, it's probably a once in a while wonder or something, just a fluke or something. But as the days progressed, there was this massive shift in paradigm that began to happen. It was just a very, very simple process of reading. And with this simple decision itself, it was more like a surrender to Swami and he completely taking the reins of my life. And I mean, what it has been somewhere around 1.5 years that I've been reading Vahinis every single day, at least one chapter every single day. And the shift that has happened, the sense of peace, the sense of bliss, the sense of oneness with him, most importantly, the state of the mind all the time. I mean, every single time, even the very Vahini of Bhagavad Vahini itself, there's this wonderful description of nature, and especially when Swami is describing the forests where Parikshit went to for hunting and all, the beautiful way in which he was describing the forest, it actually tickled the brain to look up into the sky, and I literally started feeling more connected with nature. So what for me personally, it was just a very, very simple decision of just starting. Once the initiation took place, I think there was no looking back. It has always been about how Swami is controlling us, or it's more like, of course, being an instrument is one thing, but the second is the connection with him by especially Vahinis like Prashnottara Vahini and Leela Kaivalya Vahini. It's literally how a, a teacher, a loving father, a loving mother would take their child onto their lap and clear every single doubts that they have. It's so practically demonstrated, written, and what is even more outstanding is that Swami is playing so many roles as he's writing these Vahinis to think on behalf of us, being so loving and compassionate to think what kind of questions we can have, and then not just putting up those questions but answering them with his fun and humorous and so simplified manner. So reading the Vahinis has definitely been life changing for me, and I'm pretty sure that every single one who even decides to go through a Vahini, they can experience radical changes from the very moment itself.
Surya, can you throw some light how you have studied? You have made you said, I think you were making some notes for whatever you have read. So can you just more emphasize on that? How you used to read?
Oh, yes, absolutely, brother. It was more like we take a particular book and we simply start reading, but it was not about just simply reading. One of the greatest things that Swami has always mentioned is that you need to read, you need to reflect, and you need to regularly apply everything that you read. That is when the complete process of experiencing the whole uh, book, for that matter. In this case, it's a Vahini. So for me, what I did is there was this beautiful notebook that I always had next to me as and when I was reading. So there were these little nuances and insights, because what I felt is that, let's just say the Bhagavad Vahini, if we take for example, the Bhagavad Vahini is the same text that was written, but people from different age groups read it. It's not the book or the text that makes a difference, but the insights that we we are guided to after we are done or while going through the book is what creates the radical change. So I would always keep a book, and as I'm reading through, if there's any kind of an insight that I get, it just would come out in the form of aha moment, what I like to call. And what is even more amazing is that when we are going through, let's just say, breakdowns, those breakdowns were transformed to breakthroughs while going through this Vahini. So every single time those intuition, those little insights came up, I made a note of it, and then it was more like going back to the same notes, the same Vahini again. It was completely a different kind of an insight that came. I mean, whether it's the same line that I'm reading, but this time the aha moment was different. And that is when we can actually analyze our progress. And it's even more entertaining because when we start out, we really don't know. We can only anticipate what is coming up. But while going through the process, that's when we begin to understand, oh my God, I had never thought about this in this way. I couldn't have ever imagined looking at this particular problem that I'm having. Primarily, what I felt is that while going through this note-taking process, it was more like even before asking for the problems, Swami would give me every single solution, and it added so many dimensions and layers to the entire thought process. So note taking, I think it's more like it's really easy to do. We just start reading a chapter, we keep an empty piece of paper and pen, and every single time there's something that we get, that voice from within which says, you know what, this is something that is just suitable for you, you need to learn this. Keeping a note of it and then trying to put that into practice the very next day, this little effort itself begins to create that radical shift. That is what has helped me like anything, for sure.
Thank you, brother. So in connection to Vahinis, we should never forget, just like we listen to Ramayana, we should never forget Valmiki. We hear Mahabharata, we should never forget Vyasa, Bhagavata, Vyasa. So they're so associated with it. That's the chosen instrument who's associated actually because of whom these Vahinis have taken the shape of books. Is Professor Kasturi. So it's our duty, it's a gratitude we need to pay to the greatest soul, the blessed soul. Just remember him, to remember his labor of love, to remember his dedication, devotion towards Swami. You can consider him to be one of the Bhagavatas. Bhagavata is the highest form of the devotees. In Sai Bhakti, I think he comes in that list of Bhagavatas. He came to Swami for the first time in 1948. He was having a lot, spiritual bent of mind, and he was associated with many of the spiritual teachers, like Ramana Maharshi and others. And finally came to Bhagwan in 1948. The very first visit, Swami said that, Kasturi, you are going to be the one who is going to write my story. You're going to be my biographer. It's like he jumped, totally, wow. And he was just waiting for the occasion, for that, when I'm going to. He was always looking forward for that. And even when he was about to retire, just in 3 months, also he came to Swami. Swami, I'm just waiting for those 3 months to get over, and I just want to come to Patti. I settle down here and I want to write your biography. And the Swami gave a disgusted look. What? So you think that the work that you're doing there is not my work? I thought you're a wise man. He was totally flabbergasted. So finally, after 1954, I think he retired. After that, immediately he came to Swami. Swami, I want to come now again. Swami said, no. You first go for a pilgrimage to North India, taking your mother and wife. Then he went for the pilgrimage for quite a long time, and he came back. Now, Swami, can I come now? The Swami said, no, there is a post vacant in All India Radio. As a director, you need to join that. So he applied for that and he joined. And it went for a while. And he was the man who coined the word, who termed actually the word Akashvani. It was Professor N.Kasturi himself who has coined that word Akashvani. And after that, finally, 1958, in some devotee's house, when Bhagwan meets him, then Swami says, I'm going to start a monthly magazine. And he would ask for names. So he would suggest some names. Swami finally says, no. The name is Sanatana Sarathi. With so much of love, Swami says. So Sanatana Sarathi is the very dearest child to Swami. So then he comes to Parthi and settles down. And he had a lot of responsibilities. He was the first editor of Sanatana Sarathi. He was the first canteen in charge. He was the first accommodation in charge. He was, I think, the postmaster of Prashant. When the first post office came, he was the only qualified person to be the postmaster. And everything he just kept accepting. He was accepting. He never rejected anything. Just like Swami's prasadam. Everything, whatever that came in his way, he just accepted. Until he comes to Bhagwan, he never knew a single word of Telugu. But later, Bhagwan blessed him so much that he could transcribe and translate into English also the same Telugu discourses. And it's not that his life is bed of roses. Okay, his life is everything in personal life. He's having perfect. Everything is so perfect that he just had a lot of time, and so he took up all these seva activities or the responsibilities. No, definitely not. He lost one of the sons when he was a teenager. As a teenager, one of the sons died. One more son even died after retirement when he was a little old. And his daughter's married life was completely in doldrums. She had a lot of troubles to undergo. His wife was paralyzed for 11 years. All these things were going on in his personal life, but yet his enthusiasm was never ever has come down. In fact, once his daughter would just pick up a fight with him. So nothing is so good in your life. How come you go and talk about Swami? You know, all those lectures you give, stories you tell to the foreigners. How come? As if everything is fine in your life. He says, I don't know all that. So when I share those stories, when I share that cobbler story, I feel that it is me. I'm the one who's experiencing. When I'm sharing that lady story, I feel that I'm the one who's experiencing. I'm the one who's experiencing the bliss. So I feel myself there, that oneness within that. And as far as I know, everything is going on perfect in my life. So he knows how to run my life. So that was his faith. And he was always in joy, always in that enthusiasm till his last breath. And many responsibilities he undertook. So whenever we read Vahinis, at least we have to always remember this blessed soul, because of whom all these books have come into, taken all these articles of Swami for 26 long years have taken shape of books. And always, God gets pleased more when we bow down to the devotees. So we need blessings of Professor Kasturi first before taking up these Vahinis. So please, because of the day, we also want the same enthusiasm. We also want the same joy that you have felt always in Swami's work. In every work for that matter, you accepted everything, you surrendered. So we want that. So let's pray for that soul. Let us every time have that gratitude for him. Because he's so connected, so he's not something, his name cannot be separated from Vahinis. And what is the attitude that we should have while reading Vahini? Swami says, in Gita Vahini especially, when you read any Vahini for that matter, you should have the kind of attitude that you should have. First is Pujya Bhavam. Should have the feeling of reverence. Let us have the feeling of reverence, the devotion. Let us keep all our intellectual abilities aside. It is greatest spiritual wisdom, highest spiritual wisdom. So we cannot, with our capabilities, try to comprehend that. Swami, please yourself come down to my level of understanding and please, bless me with that wisdom so that I can at least make some sense of what I am reading. Or sometimes it may be like, we are just reading, but no, we are not making it's not making any sense to us. It's okay. As it is told, it is a pill. To take a pill, you need not understand the formula of the pill or what is its origin and all that stuff. If it is a pill, it is going to comfort you from a malady, you can take a pill. So Vahini is something like that. So sometimes you just keep reading. These are words of God, the very God himself. So nothing else. It's not at all making sense to you. It's okay. He knows when to make sense. So it's okay. Just keep reading. Ramana Maharshi used to give complex texts to these village folk who used to come. He used to give big stotrams and all. So some devotees used to ask Swami, Bhagwan, they are village folk, innocent village folk, and they don't know the meaning of it. They don't even. It's okay. Let them even. Just read them. That's enough. That's going to benefit. So that's how Vahinis are going to benefit us. That's what the second Swami says, that you need to have Bahya Nirikshana, which is attitude of patience. So when you're reading Vahinis, you should have a lot of patience. So you should not wait immediately. I'm not able to understand this. So let me throw this away. Let me keep it away. Something. So let us not get dejected soon. We need to have a lot of patience when we are taking. So it's going to work in its own way. So we should have that patience till it's okay. If it is, you don't find any difference or nothing, it's not making any sense to you. Just okay, take it as a pill. Just keep reading it. Just keep, just taking it as a pill. It will work. It will show its benefits when the time comes. So that's why we need to have that attitude of patience. We need to wait for the results to come in their own course of time. The third important is Bahiranga Parikshana. Swami is giving a lot of liberty to us. So don't take just like that. No, don't take it granted. Whatever the words that were written or whatever the sentences that are written, you need to test them. Bahiranga Parikshana, openly you can test. He's directly telling. He's giving such a liberty to us. You can test it. You try to apply it. You need not try read the whole Vahini, some 2-3 sentences. Okay, let me take those 2-3 sentences and let me test it. Let me experiment how far it is true. Let me do that. And once we have that faith and once we know that yes, definitely he is going to show, definitely it is going to work. So Swami himself says that you should have this attitude of testing, openly testing. Bahiranga parikshana, he says, openly, you can test this openly. So this is the attitude which we should have, we should cultivate whenever we are reading Vahinis. Let's have the feeling of reverence. Swami, it's not my ability at all to comprehend. This is your words of the highest wisdom. So it's you need to grace me with that knowledge or whatever so that I can comprehend. And give me the patience. Yes, sometimes it means not making any difference or any sense, but it's okay. Take it as a pill, take it as a medicine. It will work. And himself has given the liberty, you can test it. Test it anytime, openly, anywhere. It can be your workplace, it can be your personal things, anywhere else. Openly is telling Bahiranga Parikshana. Openly you can test it. So that's how. And the only thing what we have to give is gift of time. Yes, we need to give them to ourselves. Gift of time. So just spend some time to read at least one paragraph a day or something and just keep pondering. Many things it need not make sense in the first reading, but the second time, third time when we get to read, we get a lot of wonderful insights. And that's where actually when we come on, we can discuss and we can share these insights with all of us in this satsangs. That helps many of us. In fact, once we were discussing now in one of our study circles, the study circle was on sealing on desires. So one of the brothers has nicely quoted that coming to Narayan Seva is nothing but sealing on desires. So we're automatically putting sealing on desires. So instead of going to a movie, you come for a seva. So instead of doing something else, watching a cricket match, you come for a seva. So instead of doing something which is not so worthy, you come to something, worthwhile you're doing. So automatically those desires are put, those 3-4 hours you're spending, it's okay. But in those 3-4 hours, you are putting sealing on your desires. I felt, wow, what a wonderful insight it is. So just coming for Seva, that can inspire many of us to, okay, let me come to Narayan Seva and somehow I can start sealing on desires. Parallelly, it is happening. So like that, wonderful insights will come once we keep on pondering. It may look the same paragraph may give, as it's a billion people are there, billion ways to connect with the God. The words of God, the same paragraph it will make different 10 billion senses to 10 billion people there. So everyone will come up with 10 billion insights and we'll be awestruck by listening to them. So that's why we need to ponder. Swami always says, read, reflect. We need to reflect. This is the place. Satsang is the place where we can discuss our insights and we can regularly reflect what is read. So we are the first person to get benefited from that. No one else. We keep on reflecting, thinking of Bhagwan's message or is about thinking of him himself. So we are connecting, thinking of the self, our own higher self. So ponder upon the words. It will make sense and it will much more where you can apply it to the current situation in your life. You never know what is going to come out of it. So just keep pondering, keep thinking about Bhagwan's message or what you have read. So that is the time we need to give to ourselves. And it's going to definitely cure all the maladies, all these Vahinis. And now I give a quick introduction to Bhagavatha Vahini. So introduction is not the first chapter I'm going to deal. I'm just going to focus on the preface that is written by Professor Kasturi and which tells about how we need to go about what is exactly the significance of Bhagavatha Vahini. So Bhagavatam, if most of you know, or some of you may not be knowing, it's nothing but a dialogue between a Brahmagnani, greatest saint, the Sukha, and a cursed king who's sentenced to death. Of course, every one of us are sentenced to death. But that particular king, here King Parikshit, he knows the date of his return ticket. Most of us don't know. That's the only difference. Otherwise, there's no difference. Every one of us are going to, one or the other day we need to go. So we are in ignorance that, or sometimes we don't want to, we ignore perfectly that we don't want, okay, some return day, someday it must be that it's okay. And I'm fine I'm happy with my life. We don't want that to, just remember even that someone even reminds us. But we need to meet it someday, right? So how? Why should we have that fear when we meet it? But that 7 days of him, 7 days, he had only 7 days left for his life, the King Parikshit here. And what that he achieved in the 7 days of listening to Bhagavatam. So Bhagavatam came into, actually it's a gift that has come because due to Parikshit. Because of Parikshit, actually we are indebted to him. Because of him, Bhagavatam has come for all of us. The significance of 7 days is like every one of us have 7 days. So even if person wants to take birth, it should happen in these 7 days. Or even if one needs to leave the world, that also should happen in 7 days. So each one of us have only 7 days, whether to take birth or leave the world. So all of us have 7 days in that sense. Because the 7 days is actually spiritual significance is this, that all of us have 7 days. So all the 7 days we need to read the Bhagavad. Means we need to keep reading the glory of God always. So 7 days is like that. So every time we need to keep, because that's the only thing that can keep us away from all the maladies of this outward sensory world. We need to stick on to him. So Bhagavatam is going to remind us, yes, you need to go back home. See, when we go, we always come to Sai Gitanjali and we nicely enjoy Narayan Seva. We enjoy these bhajans, but in the back of the mind, all of us know that we need to go back home. Though we like the people in Narayan Seva, how much friendly they are, I cannot say that I just want to be with you. No, we have to go back. How much you like Sai Gitanjali, however serene it is. Yesterday there was a nice video shared. So nicely, all our brothers are cleaning. But if they start feeling that it is their own home, I think they don't clean such nicely their own home also. Otherwise, there would be no problems at all at home. If such a diligent work is done at home, that was seen in video yesterday, I think there would be no marital problems, I feel, definitely. So such diligently they're working.
You're absolutely right, Suman.
Yes,
At least the married know that. Sorry, carry on.
So, and if you start feeling, okay, it's my home, see, Gitanjali, I'm cleaning so nicely and it's my home, and just you tell the convener, no, I'm going to stay here forever. So immediately, I don't know anywhere else, but in Gitanjali, definitely a photo will be there in the notice board in both sides, ladies and gents. We are banning this person to this, he should not enter this campus. And moreover, your name will be every day read in the evening announcements. That is for sure. So that's how, that's how it is. How sane it is to tell that, in this very world that I'm going to stay, I'm not going to go back home. So also this world, when we come, we are lost. We have started thinking that it's a permanent. So we need to go back home. That is nothing but going back home. When we can go back home so happily, so we need to embrace that also so happily. And what can keep us to embrace so happily is nothing but Bhagavatam. It's the glory of God, because we are concentrating on the self. So all other shackles are going to break. Even Bhagwan wonderfully says the birth of Krishna. It's a Krishnastami, and luckily actually we are having this Satsang between Krishnastami, which is there, and coming Vinayaka Chaviti. It's really, it's something like coincidence, I would say. So what I was telling is that, Bhagwan, he was actually talking about the Krishna's birth. So when Krishna was born, as soon as Krishna was kept on the head of Vasudeva, all the shackles, all that something binded him have broken, the chains were broken, the prison doors got opened, and he left, and even the Yamuna river also gives the way. He goes to Vrindavan, he leaves Krishna there and comes back. And as soon as he comes back, everything, all the bondages, all the chains again got, he got chained back again. So what does that signify? What is the spiritual significance of that? If always we are in the godly thoughts, so we are going to get liberated. Nothing is going to bind us. It will be easy. All these bonds will get loosened. Nothing is going to bind us. Happily, we can embrace everything. Happily accept even everything, whatever it is. Return ticket also when it comes, it's okay. It is so happy because we are always connected to him. So he is there always. Whether you are within this body or some other body or somewhere else, wherever it is, whether some person is there or not, he is there with us for sure. There's no doubt about it. So let us associate it with this eternal friend only. Why should we associate it with, okay, let us associate, but don't attach. If you want to attach only with this friend, eternal friend, let us attach. So that's the significance of, the spiritual significance of Krishna's birth, especially. So having always God in your head will keep us, always associated but not attached to anything, because it's only God is with us. And how we should read? Swami says, as Professor Kasturi writes in his preface, it's such a deep, wonderful stories. Swami has told us inner meaning of these stories so wonderfully. Such a wonderful stories. How we should read? We should have faith in the stories. We should not read like a casual story, as brother told. We need to think that it is happening right in front of us. We need to believe in that first. Once we start having that faith, I think the miracles happen. A small story in this connection. Once there was a Brahmin priest who was delivering a discourse on Bhagavatam. So all the members of the family and even out nearby, all the neighbors were listening so keenly to Bhagavatam. So then there came a thief also. So they thought this is a wonderful opportunity for me to get into the house. Everyone are so deeply into the discourse. Let me do my own work. So he gets into the house. Somehow he safely hides somewhere so that he can carry work. That very moment, the Brahmin priest would be describing Krishna and all the wonderful jewels Krishna wears, what Yashoda makes him, adorns him with all the ornaments and jewels. He would be describing the jewel. So once that word jewelry, touches his ear, something it's of my interest. So he keeps carefully listening. He keeps listening to those, the description of all the jewelry. I thought, I should, if at all I want to rob, I should rob this kid who's adorned with all these wonderful jewelry. The description of jewelry itself is so enticing. So how come now if I get the jewelry, wow. So then he gives up the idea of robbing that house. So then after the discourse, after that talk, he just follows this Brahmin priest. And the priest would be scared. My God, I don't have anything. So I don't want anything from you, but I want, you described that Krishna, that kid, I've heard a lot of jewels are with him. So you need to tell where he's. So I want to just go to him and take all the jewels. I want to rob him, he says. Then to escape from him, this priest says, see, the two boys come every day to the banks of Yamuna in Vrindavan. There's one boy who is in a dark complexion like a cloud, who plays flute wonderfully. So he's one boy. And there's one more boy who is a fair complexion with white silks. So those two boys so little kids are going to come to the banks of Yamuna, and you can go and find them there. Just to escape from him, he tells that and he leaves. And this thief believes the words of the priest and he goes and he keeps waiting at the banks of river Yamuna. So on the final one evening, he listens to the wonderful melodious flute. Now he just gets down from the tree and tries to go. He finds the two boys. The same one is a dark complexion, the other is a fair one. He goes to them. When he looks at Krishna. Wow, what a beauty. He forgets that he has come to take the jewelry or to rob him. In fact, he robs him. He's totally lost. Oh, what a beautiful child it is. What a beautiful child. Which mother has given birth to such a beautiful child? He keeps weeping. Inner transformation happens within him. He forgets totally that he has come to rob him. After some time, he realizes there's a heap on his shoulder. When he looks into that heap, a lot of jewels, all the jewels which that kid was wearing. He immediately goes to the priest. So this is what happened to me. You told and I went and this is what happened. Then the priest will be in tears and he comes to the banks of Yamuna. Please show me. Even that time, thief is able to see Krishna, but the priest is not able to see Krishna. He feels dejected. He feels disappointed. So all these years I have been telling your katha, and I'm not able to see you. What is this, Krishna? Is it fair? And to this thief you have graced and you didn't grace me. Then he just, Krishna out of his compassion, he could, that priest could only listen to voice of Krishna, but he couldn't see Krishna. He says, see, all the while you were reading Bhagavatam like a story. You never had faith in it. You were just telling as like a storyteller all the way to all the places where you went, but you never had faith in anything. But this thief had complete faith in your words and had come. Where there is faith and surrender, I'll install myself there. So that's the attitude we should inculcate when we read these Vahinis, especially the Bhagavatha Vahini is full of wonderful stories. Ramakatha Rasa Vahini, there are stories, and it's really a great boon for us to know which our culture has given, our Hindu culture has given, profound truths in the form of wonderful stories, because stories are easy to remember, they register us well. Sometimes even we don't remember the truth. Every time we remember the story and automatically we get back the truth. That particular value seeps into them. So that's why even for children, always they say stories, all the values are injected into the children's minds through stories. So that's the beauty of the Indian culture, something. So Bhagavatam is such a sacred story. So let us take up this Vahini from the next Swādhyāya session, which will be on October 11th, which will be the next Swādhyāya session. We can take 3 chapters. I don't know take many because we'll go in depth. We'll try to drink the nectar of Bhagavatam much more. We'll enjoy each and every. That's what I told. You can make notes of the insights. So keep pondering, and I want a more in-depth discussions, not just like any customary or just like as we have done something. No, I don't want something like that. I want to enjoy each and every moment through these Vahinis, through this Bhagavatha Vahini to start with. So let's take 3 chapters, which will be discussed maybe around almost in 2 months' time. We have October 11th. So in depth, we'll discuss everything, the spiritual insights that we are going to gain from these stories of Bhagavatha Vahini. Definitely, the stories are going to be so wonderful. Those people who don't know about Bhagavatam, it's a wonderful, you can say, encounter with the Lord. Each one of us are going to have. So let us, I think, close it here, and we can open this session for discussion. So I want people to participate in the discussion. So open to all. Saira.
Suman, I have a question. Amarnath here.
Yes, sir. Yes, please.
I sometimes, I'm at crossroads when I see so much of, there is 15 Vahini, there are so much of videos, there are so many paths which Swami has did. I sometimes wonder whether one life is sufficient for me to absorb and enjoy all this, or do I require a number of lives? Sometimes I'm perplexed. There's so much of beauty available. It's like, you are in a beautiful place, is surrounded by beauty all around, which road
Yes,
to
sir.
take,
Yes, sir. I can understand.
Yes.
Suman,
So enjoy this.
what Amarnath is saying is he doesn't want a return ticket.
But one thing, beauty of
Yes.
this is, this beauty is going to continue in whatever destination or wherever you are. So that's the beauty. Other things may end, but this by different. So I think, sir, enjoy the moments, enjoy this journey. Don't want to, please, everything you cannot gulp. We are not Agastya to gulp all oceans in one gulp.
Right.
So enjoy in all moments which we have. Definitely, one day we are going to reach our goal, and we are really not interested when we are going to reach. We are just enjoying. This is the moment we are enjoying. So let's enjoy more and more and more of it.
Lovely.
Let's not worry about. Let it say 100 light bulbs also. It's okay. It's okay.
Thank you.
Suman, thank you very much for this evening. Uh, you're talking about
Thank
the
you.
young people being put off by this esoteric content of the Vahinis. The young people, as we already defined, includes people up to 65. Mr. Amarnath is unfortunately excluded in this.
I am
Unfortunately,
included.
yeah. So I think you have reinforced the belief that we should read and we should assimilate and see the flavor at each stage of life and and during each reading. So
Yes,
thanks for
yes.
this encouragement. I mean, I was really avoiding this like plague for a long time, including the sessions on Saturday. I was finding it going above my head many times. Tried very
Yes,
hard,
yes.
and
That happens.
yeah, I would not say I was losing interest, but I was thinking that I'm possibly alone in this whole thing and possibly
Yes.
isolated with this extreme overdose of spirituality, which I was not capable of harnessing, assimilating, understanding, and possibly putting into practice.
Yes,
But now
yes.
I think
Yeah.
I will take this one step forward for sure and try to
Yeah,
understand in my
just
own
listen.
limited way.
Exactly.
Even start reading to understand little by little what Swami has to say in this vast ocean that he has given us. Thank you,
Yes, yes.
Sai Ram.
Thank you. I know.
Suman, I think the way you explained it was so beautiful. I would say Sumantopakhayana. It was so beautiful. The analogies, the humor, whether it is about the story of the thief or the Krishna or the return ticket. It's wonderful. You
Thank you.
also brought in this element that in understanding, some of these, what shall I say, very fundamental truths of life. Parables and stories come make it easier for us to understand, reflect, and assimilate better.
Yes.
Building on that point you mentioned, I think Surya also mentioned in his explanation that there were situations of breakdown which turned into breakthroughs, right?
Yes.
So maybe if, I mean, my only request is, I mean, I think you're already doing it so beautifully, but more of such moments of breakdowns to breakthroughs or such parables will make it much, I think it's much more easier, as you rightly said, for all of us to assimilate and enjoy and reflect. I think that's
Yes.
just a little thought that came to me, which I thought I'll share with you.
Yes, sir.
But it's so beautiful. I think you're making it so much more easier to understand, and this is something we will not easily forget. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you so much.
Thank
Suman, can I?
you. Silence.
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
Wonderful evening. Uh, I'm just moved by. I just agree with what Subbu sir said. I've been listening to these Vahini sessions elsewhere too. But the real difference, what I see is from an academic discussion to a spiritual significance, what message this chapter carries. A kind of an approach is what I think we are all attempting to get at, is it not? The fact
Yes.
that you have summarized it beautifully, uh, you need to develop the attitude, have the patience, put to Bahiranga Parikshana, and contemplate. Else, this would be just a dialogue session, a debate which is heard and forgotten.
Yes, yes.
More importantly, it hits the depth of your heart and mind, and you have something to carry in your mind and reflect. I fully agree with our brother's little brother Surya, a fountain of energy. What he says is absolutely true. And Amar's view that I am surrounded by so much of all this. What do I
Beauty.
choose? Where do I go? I feel it is like you are in a feast and you can't eat everything. You are in a buffet and you can't pick up everything. You pick your choice, kind of. But then what to and what not? You have analyzed it beautifully, the difference between the discourses and the Vahinis and the impact of all this. Thank you, Suman. I don't know. I enjoyed this evening totally. Well, you may say it to encourage the youth. Subbu sir, thank you for including me in the age band. Sai Ram sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Suman, I think Abhilash has a question. He has raised his hand.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah,
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's more than a question. It's a kind of dilemma. So Subbu sir had mentioned this thing
Hello?
about overdose of spirituality. Even this happened to me also during this lockdown. There's so much of WhatsApp messages and so much of online content. So I couldn't actually digest all of them. So my question is like, how much is too much? Like, where do we draw the line? And for youngsters like us, like me, is it okay to once in a while kind of take a break and just take a break and let's say watch some good movie or just go out somewhere, hang out with friends? So that's my question.
Yeah. I think in whatever you do, we should involve Swami. That's what main thing. It need not be, you don't just, in the last satsang you have seen, don't differentiate as a worldly or spiritual. Everything is spiritual in life. So even you are going to movie, you take Swami to your movie. You're going to have something, going to a Pizza Hut, you take Swami there. So have always Swami in mind. That actually is,
It
even
helps.
whatever you're reading, that is the main thing you have to, that is the goal actually. Taking him, always pulling him into everything. So it's okay if you're reading or not reading or seeing some messages or ignoring some, it's okay. But ultimate thing is having Swami always with you. So I think that is the main thing. So rest is okay. If you are sometimes on and off, it happens in sadhana. That is very natural. But main on and off should not happen with him. We should always be on with him. That is the thing. So wherever you are, it's okay. We should not get disconnected with him. The activity sometimes you get because of other works, you may not be able to give attention to some seva activities. It's okay, but always have. You should not get disconnected from Swami. So because when we go into the sensory world, that is what actually it starts. It'll pull us. It's so enticing world. Yeah, you can go for a movie, but take Swami with you. I would say that.
Sairam, the Sai Chandrasekhar here. Can I add?
Yes, yeah, please.
Okay. So your analogy of the buffet, just for a moment, why don't you think of why are there so many items in a buffet? The purpose is not for us to eat 100 items. It's just that there are so many people who come and everybody has a different taste. So there's something which everyone likes. That is the logic behind a buffet. That nobody goes back unsatisfied. And I think this buffet is also the same way. There are all kinds of people. There are so many different devotees. Someone is focused on karma marga, someone bhakti marga, someone jnana marga. If you see, there's so many festivals celebrated in Prashanti Nilayam. Why are we switching from Rama to Krishna to Shiva to Buddha to Allah? Why can't we stick to one? So it's just that the diversity of people who are in the Sai organization, and there has to be something for everyone. So I think each one of us can pick what we want from that buffet and really feast on that one thing, delve deep and get the bliss out of that. And that is enough to fill the stomach. It's not required that we have to eat 100 items to fill our stomach. And filling our stomach is, in this context, basically attaining the goal of life. So in my view, pick what suits you, what is in sync with your mindset, with your approach, and just go all out on that path. Don't then get distracted by all the other items that are there in the buffet, is what I would say. The second is, I think it's perfectly fine to take a so-called break, as you say it. I think fundamentally, if taking a break helps you reach your goal faster, then by all means do it. If it doesn't, then don't do it. I think the question to be asked every time is, will this action of mine help me reach the goal faster or better? Would Swami approve of this? If the answer is yes, then means why not? That's my thesis.
Wonderful, sir. Very well.
Abhilash's aspect of a break perhaps was from a different dimension too. In the busy world, when you are preoccupied with too many things, you may miss one session here or one session there. You can always catch up with that. Every moment is sincerely a spiritual moment, and you could enjoy that without any doubts and fears that you have missed something. Because Swami's approach is he keeps hitting the same fundamentals in multiple ways, in multiple directions, and it always will conform to what we have already been learning.
So I think you also actually answered that question in your own thing, saying multiple ways, multiple dimensions, same thing. So actually you don't miss anything because it comes back to the same thing in that sense. So you don't need to be too worried about that because all roads lead to
the same. Yeah.
So, but with one word of caution, particularly for our young brothers, if you take this break for granted, if you lose touch, to rebuild that synergy takes more time. So I would rather say it is an effort to stay in context, to attend and get benefit out of it. And due to unfortunate circumstances, you have to miss one session here or there. You should not mind, but still keep coming back.
Sairam, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, to what just now our brother had said that we should not lose contact. I think Suman had very clearly and given a very, very simple solution that wherever you go, whatever you do, just take Swami with you. If we have that one small mantra with us, I think we'll not go wrong. Even if we are going to a company of friends, the words or the thoughts which come out will be in sync within the guidelines of what Swami would like. So I think Suman has already given a good solution for such issues, not just for the youngsters, but for anybody else also. Sairam.
Thank you, sir. Brothers, Nikhil, anything to share? Surya, anything in that direction about Abhilash's concern you want to?
Yeah, Sairam. First of all, very great session, Suman. And Brother Suman, I think you have very clearly told us the historical history, how the Vahinis came into existence and all that. So like Sir just mentioned, it will definitely stay very easy to remember, and thanks for making it so easy. So just talking about what Abhilash brother just said. So I think I can just remember one small incident with Swami, not with mine, but where I read. There was, I think, one of the students who expressed to Swami that there were many guidelines given to him, many rules to be followed. You should always speak truth. You should always respect elders, you should always do the right thing. There were various guidelines or rules given. So he was overwhelmed with all of that, and probably he expressed it to Swami that how is it possible that I can do all of them together? It is very, very difficult. So I think Swami then replied to him saying that, I'm not quoting it very exactly, but this is the summary. What Swami told him is, you don't have to do all of them. Even if you cannot do all of them, you choose any one of them. You choose any one of them and keep doing that. So in due course of time, everything else will fall in place. You will also be right on the other routes. So I think with the overwhelming amount of information or these, especially the Vahinis, so reading so many of them at once is very difficult, or probably it will take long time. So I think the what we should focus on is whatever we read, we should start implementing that. And like Swami mentioned, I think if we follow one rule, even one thing, if we can go contemplate and do it right, the rest of them will come in place.
All in place. Yeah.
All in place.
Wonderful.
In fact, I remember Swami once saying that not one, even if you follow half, that is enough for this lifetime. In this, for example, if you just take help ever, hurt never, even if you just do hurt never, that is enough. What Swami said, even if you're not helping people. So, and the teachings are so simple, but the execution is so profound that first we need to understand what that one thing is. For example, hurt never means manasa vacha karmana, that is thought, word, and deed. And it's not just that I'm not going and killing someone or beating up someone in that sense. So if we look at any teaching of Swami, which is very, very simple, straightforward to understand, I think if we just delve into that, that will come out very clearly. And the best part is they're all linked. If you do half of anything, then you end up doing the other half automatically.
Yes, sir. Nice, nice. Very nice.
And
Anand,
there is one more.
Yeah, please.
So there is one more thing I can remember what Swami had quoted. He said that Swami said that ఏది చేసినా ఒక పిచ్చిలాగా చేయండి. That means anything you do it like a madness. You think about it, you walk about it, you always do it the same thing. Then automatically it will become right. You will achieve that. So not in the exact context, but he also said that ఏది చేసినా ఒక పిచ్చిలాగా చేస్తే అది అయిపోతుంది, అది సాధిస్తారు.
Nice. Brother Anand, Gajendra. Suryadeep, anything you want to share? They're already in bliss, I think. Yeah, Sairam, we'll close this session here now. I'll chant Asatoma. And our next session will be on August 30th. The chapter is Maya Manjushika. So Manjushika in Sanskrit is a box. So Maya Manjushika is a magical box. So we don't know what exactly is there with us. It's a topic we are going to discuss, or what is going to be done in the satsang. We don't know. It's an uncertainty we have to accept. So that's going to be on August 30th. We'll just meet on that day. So I will close this session with Asatoma. Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Samasta loka Sukhino Bhavantu. समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोका सुखिनो भवन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Thank you everyone. Sai Ram. Good night.
Sai Ram.
Sai Ram.
Thank you.
Sai Ram.